Welcome to Out the Box TV. I am your host, Cril. I am back. Yes, I'm back. I'm back for a special interview segment, an interview show. It's an artist campaign that I'm collaborating with the company musicbreakr on to help give exposure to other dope artists out there that either have a creative approach or a message of substance and thought-provoking lyrics to share in their music. So I'm really excited to be doing this today, and I want to give a big shout out to the Out the Box TV audience that's tuning in. Thank you for being here. So the artist that I have on the platform today, he actually goes by the name R.E.N., but it's actually an acronym for Really Existing Now. He's a 30-year-old rapper from Springfield, Illinois, who's been into music since his early days in elementary school. You know, he was raised by a single mother, in a family home, and he found solace in expressing himself through rap. Some of his early influences were artists like Jay-Z, 50 Cent, The Game, and Tupac. A professional music career was always a dream for R.E.N., but he didn't begin seriously pursuing it until graduating high school. He approaches music as an art form, one that requires you to paint pictures of life. He aims to obtain success in life and express the trials and tribulations of the journey through song. He draws from real life experiences to create his art. R.E.N.'s catalog is quite extensive and contains a broad range of sounds and styles. He's opened shows for hip hop figures like 2 Chainz, Starlito, and more, and has collaborated with many artists, including Vito the Singer, Skittles, Drew Vigilante, and Roy R.G., to name a few. His music has a very classic hip hop foundation that's leveled up by modern influences. The pandemic has allowed him to focus on his craft and take it to the next level, enabling him to become his own sound engineer and cranking out project after project. 2021 has seen 3 full-length projects from this Midwest MC, and he plans to continue the pace in the future with 3 more full-length projects scheduled for 2022. One of those projects is his upcoming album entitled From Me to You, due for release on January 25th. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce to you my wonderful Out the Box TV audience, the artist feature I have today as part of our musicbreakr artist interview campaign, the talented MC hailing from the Midwest, the homie R.E.N. Welcome to Out the Box TV.
What's going on, man? What's going on?
What's good, brother? It's a pleasure to have you here, man. Thank you for being on the platform. I got a chance to check out some of your music, especially the single that I got from you, and I look forward to chatting with you today, man. How you feeling?
Feeling pretty good, man. Excited to be here. Excited to have this conversation.
Indeed, man. So I want to talk to you, of course, about your upcoming album coming out and the single that you have out. But before I want to do that, I want to, take some time to talk a little bit about your history. Your bio says that you started seriously pursuing music after you graduated high school.
Right.
What about that time period? What is it about that time period that revealed to you that it was time to take your artistry seriously?
Uh, I mean, when you graduate high school, that's your interest into adulthood. You're starting to think about what you're going to do with your life. So, for me, it was always pushed to me by my mom. You got to go to school. You got to do something. So there wasn't really anything that I could honestly see myself doing for the rest of my life aside from music. Um, so I just began to. I had before then. I had never really had engineer or a studio to go to. I kind of just had a home setup, and back then technology wasn't what it is today, to where you can have a home setup and really have some good sounding material. So once I graduated, I did end up going to college, but at that point, I was paying more attention to my music than to my school. So I was writing songs every day, doing videos, posting them online, getting a little traction. Coming back home, going to the studio, and I was just trying to figure out what I wanted to do in my life, and music was the only answer to me.
Oh man. I was curious to know about your experience coming from the Midwest, right? And you know, you viewing hip hop from that vantage point. Who are some of the hip hop influences that shaped your perspective on what you wanted your artistry to look like?
That's a good question. I don't know that I don't know that artistically there was really any artist that I wanted to shape my music after. I've always been more of I would say, I guess, for lack of better words, a bigger picture person. So there were artists that I looked up to in regards to, what they portrayed as who they were, their music, the moves that they made business wise, how they carried themselves, what they did outside of music to go along with it, the message that they were spreading. Um, so it was more so that for me. So I would say like Jay, he was big for me. I wanted to be not just a rapper, somebody that was able to articulate themselves well, somebody that was able to function in any setting, in any room. I would say 50 for sure, but it's hard to say because as you grow, you learn things and you change, and maybe some of the things that I was interested in or persuaded by then when I was younger aren't necessarily the same things that I would say I look up to today. So um, I was I was into, I guess, different music back then. But I guess if I would have had to put a name to it, I would say definitely 50 and his Camp J were big influences for me.
Were there any like influences in regards to like artists from your town or the region that you grew up in that, you know, gave you a perspective on how you wanted to do hip hop as well?
Um, I would say, I guess I would say Twister. He's from Chicago, which is 3 hours north of where I'm at. I'm definitely a big fan of him. As far as like locally, I don't know if there was any artists in particular locally. I think it was just more so the scene. We have a lot of artists here, a lot of people doing stuff, and being younger, I was looking up, seeing a bunch of like older. I'm thinking like maybe when I was 14, 15, trying to do my thing in the rap. I'm seeing older people in their early 20s around the city doing shows, getting studio time, and that just kind of lit a fire under me, just wanting to be a part of the scene more so.
Indeed, indeed. Dope, man. Dope. You know, when I look at who some of your influences are in hip hop, it seems pretty diverse, you know, in terms of the different styles of MCs, you know. So and I think probably even coming from the Midwest, I think, and you could tell me if this is true or not, but it probably gave you a diverse perspective of, you
For
know,
sure.
the different types of artists you would be influenced by. So I can tell by listening to some of your music already that you certainly draw from real life experiences to create your art. And you are also good at expressing the trials and tribulations of your journey towards success in your songs. When did you come to the realization that that was the direction you wanted to take it with your music?
Um, I would say maybe around 2017. Um, I've always had that aspect of my music, But I think earlier on, I really struggled with finding myself as an artist and really finding what I wanted to do and the type of music that I liked and I enjoyed, and just doing that, opposed to trying to find the sound that was going to make me pop, the sound that people wanted to hear, and chasing that, um, those hit records and chasing those concepts that were popular. Because I'm thinking that's what's going to get me attention. I'm from a small town. I'm like, I got to get these records on the radio. I gotta make music that people wanted to hear, and it never really worked for me. In my opinion, I was making some good music, but there was always something in the back of my head. There was just always something missing.
Mm.
So and nothing substantial was really coming from it, from making music that other people wanted to hear. So I think around that time, I had I graduated from college, got my bachelor's degree, and I moved to Nashville, Tennessee, to get my master's degree.
Mm.
Uh, Being separated from my hometown and everybody I knew gave me time to just like sit with myself and think and kind of really go over what I wanted and what I wanted to do. So that around 2017 is really when I sat down. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna make the music that I like and that I enjoy, and tell the stories I want to tell, and just make music for me at this point.
Dope, man. What would you say it was like? Because you're talking about being in college and getting to this new mindset. Would you say it was a level of maturity that you started to experience as you were getting older? Going through the college experience or that stage in your life?
For sure. I didn't have the traditional college experience. So um, I graduated high school, went off to college at 18, went off to St. Louis to college. And after my first year in college, that summer, I went back home, was at home, and wind up meeting who would become my wife. And we had our first child then when I was 19. So at 19, I have a kid. So plans changed at this point. Music kind of got pushed to the background, and I had to figure out how to provide. And so I took a break from school and winded up, probably took 2 3 years off of school, and wind up thinking like I don't really have any solid skill set, any hard skills or anything like that to I can work these jobs, or what am I going to do that's substantial for my child? So wound up going back to school. Yeah, and I guess going back to school, working, going that route, and I don't know. I wind up having a few more kids. Me and my wife, we got four now. So
Mm.
I think just grinding, trying to make it, getting these degrees, working at the same time, and just going through life trying to give my children something better. I think it's just, I guess all the fuel that I needed to turn things around, and really I feel like once I got my degrees and once I established myself in my career, I was able to um, have more peace and more fun, like making my music, and just get to a place where I'm gonna make the music I want to make, and if it happens, it happens. If it don't, it don't. But I'm gonna make things that I'm proud of.
Wow, that's dope, man. And definitely having to be a full-time father, a husband, just a overall family man
Yeah,
is more than enough a reason to have a new perspective, man. So I could definitely respect that and appreciate that. So your MC name is R.E.N., the, as we were saying earlier, the acronym stands for Really Existing Now. How did you come to the confirmation that that would be your artist name?
well, Ren had been my name for years prior. It stemmed when I was younger. My original rap name was Renegade, which I kind of modeled after Jay-Z and Eminem's song Renegade. Um, as I grew, I kind of dropped that and just went down to Ren. So Ren had been my name for years. But as I was transforming as an artist and coming into myself more and really finding my own lane and creativity, I kind of wanted to switch things up and kind of have a name that reflected that. But I, at the same time, wasn't really sure about getting rid of the R.E.n. name because that's just everybody around. That's what they call me. That's just what I go by, and I just didn't want to do a complete switch. But that's just what came to mind when I thought about my music and I thought about, the thought that goes into the process of making the music. Like I said before, I was just kind of chasing records and chasing sounds and chasing topics. And I felt like I found a place where I can finally be me. I can finally make the music I want to make now. So uh, I'm really existing now. This is who I am as a person. This is who I am as an artist. And now people are really, really able to see that.
Yeah. What's so interesting about the name is that, 20 years from now, right?
Mm.
It's like that name still stands, but it's almost like it stands in the presence because it says really existing now. So 20 years from now, they're hearing your music that you might have made 20 years ago, but you're still really existing now. Did you ever think of your music like that, with this name years down the line?
I would say in some aspect, yeah, I definitely wanted something that was going to stand the test of time and something that uh, wouldn't get old.
Right.
I don't want to go through any more name changes.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely.
Indeed. And just the relatability to, like what you might have spoken about today, 20 years from now, is still might still be very relevant to what a person might be going through and so forth, So yeah, interesting. So I know that you have a number of projects already out on digital streaming platforms. For someone who's completely new to you, what music out of your catalog would you refer them to really get a full grasp of who you are as an artist?
Um, it's hard because as an artist, I feel like, well, for me personally, I feel like my most recent music is always my best music. It's always when I really get into my bag and really give you more of who I am. With each project, I'm able to tap further into my thoughts and feelings and experiences and things like that. So I feel like the easy route may be for me to say the album I have dropping this month. But if I had to pick from my existing catalog, I would say um, the first installment of this. So um, last year, 2021, I did 3 projects, and I would say those 3 projects would be really the beginning to who I have always wanted to be as an artist. So the first project I dropped of last year was called From Me to Me. So this project that I've come in this month is called From Me to You. So my game plan was all 3 projects I dropped last year are going to be part of a series. So this year I have 3 projects scheduled, and they're pretty much all sequels to the ones I dropped last year. So I would refer a fan to go to From Me to Me. Um, it's pretty much an introspective journey. It's almost like self therapy. It's 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 an album where I'm pretty much talking to myself, going through experiences, going through traumas that I've had and maybe have not dealt with fully, and just kind of exploring those and just putting it out there for the world to like view me do this and go through this self therapy. So I would probably point somewhere in that direction first.
Nice. And From Me to Me, that's on digital streaming now, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. How many tracks does the project consist of?
10.
10. Okay. Nice, solid 10.
Yep.
That's what's up. So, of course, we're going to talk about the upcoming album From Me to You, which, as I said earlier, is scheduled to be released on January 25th. But before we talk about it, let's talk about the album single Cold Game. the
Okay.
track Cold Game. You open that track with the words, I spend racks on racks to get my education. Now them people want it back and they ain't waiting.
Right.
Can you talk about why you chose to open the song with that particular line and the deeper meaning behind the lyric?
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if I can articulate why I chose to open the song with those lyrics. When I create, it's more so a feeling. I turn the beat on, and however that beat makes me feel, that's where I go. I don't
Gotcha.
really a lot most times I don't really plan it out. I don't really think it through. I don't really think I want to make a song about this. I turn the beat on, and however that beat makes me feel, whatever comes out, that's what I go with, and I just build on that. So but I wish I could give you some crazy answer. Oh, I was doing it. It may most likely it was from thinking about damn, I got to pay these student loans back. You know, I'm pretty proud of how far I've come and where I've made it to. And I just finished my master's degree in 2019. So I made this album. This was the first album I made after that. So being in the real world and having a job and all that, and then you start getting them letters in the mail. Hey, we need that back. So that's I, I just that's where it took me. So that's what was on my mind, I think, and that's just where I went and kind of built off that.
Yeah. I thought it was clever how you chose to kind of introduce it, right? And you chose to a different scenario to describe it as, and kind of the metaphor that was happening there. But I figured, like, as I listened to it, like, sometimes I gotta listen a couple times. I was like, I know he talking about student
Yeah.
or something to do with paying it back, and it's such a reality that so many people face. So I thought that was dope that you shared that, and you did it in a clever way as well. So yeah, shout out to you for that line. So you also say on that song Cold Game that your back ain't got no scars, but your mind do, because your spirit know the struggle and your pride too. Can you further explain how the understanding of your struggle combined with your actual pride has impacted those mental scars or those mind scars?
Yeah. So that line pretty much it was formed from the thought of which a lot of my music just comes from my day-to-day experience, being a black man in this country, the things that we got to deal with on a day-to-day basis, especially being somewhere where I'm at, like this small city in the Midwest. You're really the minority. It's not, it's different. And I just came back here from Tennessee, where there was a lot more people to look like me, a lot more black and brown people. So I was dealing with the struggle of coming back home and it not being like that. It's not like I forgot, but I was out of it for 3.5 years, and you kind of push that back in the back of your mind. You're not really dealing with that every day. So coming back and now I'm just dealing with a totally different scenario. I'm more uncomfortable, and so my mind just kind of thinking about that. I watch a lot of documentaries and movies on our struggle as black people, and I was thinking about I've never really been through, I guess, anything physical, or and that's another thing. I'm sure I can't think of the exact one, but I'm sure there was some sort of trial or something going on. It may have been the Ahmaud Arbery thing that
Mm.
I was thinking about, but I've never been through anything physical where somebody, because of the color of my skin, tried to physically do something to me. But seeing things like that, about somebody that looks like me, and the way that they're treated and the way that they're talked about, um, and the way that they're painted when they're the victim, that's kind of where that stems from. I am, my back ain't got no scars, but my mind do. Like, I'm dealing with this on a day to day, and I'm thinking about how I got to explain this to my children, and how I got to deal with this, and how people that don't look like me are talking about this same instance and seeing something totally different. So it's just like I'm fighting 100 different things when it comes to these topics.
Yeah.
So it's like, and then when you're, and as far as my pride and my spirit knowing the struggle, it's like, so I'm dealing with these things, and now I'm operating in a corporate environment and being around people where they may say things or they may do things, and you can't really go where you want to go, like where your feelings and your everything telling you to go, and really check people on things like you want to check them on things, because at the end of the day, you need this. You know what I'm saying? You got kids, you got to provide for, so you can't be the fully the person that you want to. Of course, you can call people out, and there's ways to do things, but you can't really fully go where you want to go because you have to kind of play the game.
Mm, mm. Got you, man. Got you. You know, that was very well explained, man. And what really stood out to me was like the two, right? Like you got struggle, but then you got pride too. And sometimes people don't think about those two kind of like coexisting together. So I thought it was cool that you highlighted that in that line. You have another line on that song where you say, when you well, actually I think it's a part of the hook if I'm not mistaken. You say, when you the king at the top of the hill without the propane, you start to see that it's a cold game, and you can live for as long as you like and be a no name. I try to tell you it's a cold game. I think you say that a few times in the song. What inspired you to use those examples to refer to the concept of a cold game?
So basically, it may be, I don't know if it's being aware or being narcissistic, but it's, for me, it's, I know where my talent level is, and I know the type of things that I create and I pump out, and I feel like, I make this music with substance, and I'm talking about something. I'm trying to set an example for people, and I'm not just, it's not just things where, oh, he's talking about positive things. I'm doing it in an artistic way. I'm doing it in a creative way. I'm putting a lot of thought in this. I'm putting a lot of time and effort, like blood, sweat, and tears into this. And no matter, it seems like, I think it's just a moment of feeling like, it seems like no matter how much time and effort you put in, no matter how good you get there, you're not getting recognized the way that you feel that you should.
Mm.
There may be people doing what you do on a lesser scale somewhere, where you feel like you should be. So it's kind of battling your ego again. And it's just like, you can be the king at the top of the hill without the propane. So I have all the essentials, the skills, the lyrics, the dedication, all that, but I don't have the recognition. I don't have the fame. I don't have the things that you would want to come from your passion.
Right.
So and then just, I think the rest of it's just wordplay. But that's essentially where the main point, the main idea stems from.
Indeed, indeed. You know, you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it's either you have a record where you speak about Black excellence or you say it somewhere in your music. I think I was watching a YouTube video of yours, and I noticed that you speak about that topic a lot in your music, and just as you were alluding to earlier, just like the struggle of what we as Black people go through in America and in the West. Can you talk to me about what motivates you to keep touching on issues like that in your music, that relate to the Black struggle, or even just the idea of Black success? Like,
Yeah.
what I mean, other than the obvious, right? Like, where's that rooted from? Do you have a history of just your upbringing that has put you on that path? Like, where would you say your commitment to Black excellence has come from?
I feel like it most. I feel like it comes from multiple things. So
Mm.
I feel like it comes from just me thinking about my experience and in life and the things that I've experienced and how people that don't look like me either um, don't view me in the light that I feel like they should view me in, or if I'm in certain spaces, um, they act surprised like I shouldn't be there. You
Mm.
know, I think it's me growing up. It's not something that was pushed to the forefront. It's not something that I heard a lot. I'm from I mean, most places are predominantly white, but here specifically, so it's not something that was like paraded around. It's not something that even in our community was really cool for raps and hip hop to really to talk about for the younger generation in my time at least. So I think part of it is again kind of a self therapy and reinstilling it in myself and just it's an important topic to me. So just something that I just continue to express, but also for people coming up after me that look like me and younger kids that don't get to hear that. They need to know that they special. You can do whatever you want to. Black is the best thing. These are things that they need to hear. It's not, it's something that's becoming more popular and something that's is being promoted more and being on TV more nowadays. But I think it's a very important message for young Black and brown kids to hear and realize. And not only other Black and brown kids, but I have black kids myself.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
and it's always one topic that I get into in my music a lot. Also, is I've always been kind of more introverted and more like to myself, and it's hard for me a lot of times due to certain things in my upbringing to kind of express myself the way that I would like to. So I kind of use my music for everything. So my kids, it's something that I tell them all the time, but when they look back at my catalog and tap into certain things, they'll hear those same messages that I reinforce throughout their life, and they know that this is what Dad stood by. This is what he meant.
Yeah. That's the beauty of creating music. It's almost like you're creating sort of like your biography without writing a book, if you're being true to yourself, and it's really amazing, when you can look back at someone's catalog, and like you said, be able to have your kids look at it and like experience like what you were going through at the time that you were making these records, and it's like this timeline that you're sharing. So I think that's really dope that you're taking that approach. And you know young people definitely need to see Black excellence and just seeing the good that we have to offer. And I love the fact that you're taking a thoughtful approach in your music. I feel like hip hop needs that more so than ever now, and it's always had its roots in that, but I feel like a lot of us need to get back to that, especially considering what's happened in the pandemic and so much that has happened to our people, and the struggles that we've had to endure. Like, we definitely gotta share that music of substance. So big ups to you for taking that approach in your music. So let's talk about the upcoming album, From Me to You. Tell me, why did you choose to go with that title, and what is at the core of what you're offering to the listener in the music?
Okay, so like I spoke about earlier, I just when I lined up my projects, my next few projects, is I'm constantly working on something. So when I lined up my next few projects, I was like, I want to give I want to give more to the projects that are already released. I feel like as an artist, you're never fully satisfied with what you do. So when you create something, you put it out there. It's out there. So I was like, I looked at the projects I did. And I was like, maybe I could have did this better. Maybe I could have expounded on that. Maybe I could have did this. Let me go back and just do it. So from me to you is pretty much the same concept as I spoke about before with from me to me, but this time instead of me going through like a self therapy, talking to myself and just putting it on display for you to see, there's definitely still elements of the self therapy, but it's more like I'm speaking to the listener. It's more conversational. It's more of me kind of telling the listener about my experiences and what I learned from it, so they can do things differently, and just giving them insight on, this happens because of this, or you might see this when you're going through that. It's more of a give and game approach this time, instead of just giving you a peek into what I'm going through or what I'm talking about. It's more me using my experiences and my thoughts and things of that nature to give you game.
Dope, dope. I like that. So talk to me about some of the producers or the producer involved on this album, and what made them a right fit for the subject of From Me to You.
So on this project, I have three producers: Kofi Cooks, that kid Gorin, and One Kai. So this being the sequel from Me to Me. From Me to Me had Kofi Cooks and that kid Gorin were the only two producers on that one. So um, I wanted to do, I wanted to make sure that when I originally did the From Me to Me, I wanted to make sure my sound was cohesive. So I wanted to limit the amount of producers that I had on it. So I kind of wanted to just stick with that theme this time around. When I went with it, I love the feel of the production that they have. Now I don't know them personally, but they're people I found on just out on socials, and I like their work, and I just kind of stuck with them. So I just like the feel. It's a real like it's a real like it's real hip hop for me, and it's definitely has like modern twist and influences, but it gave me the opportunity to really like get in my bag and like rap for real. So that's just kind of where I wanted to go with that.
Dope, dope. What would you say was the most emotional song you recorded on the album, and why do you think it had that impact?
Huh. There's a couple. I would say it's hard.
You can name more than one.
Okay, so one of them is called Story Time, and I kind of just there's no hook. There's two verses, but in between the verses, there's kind of some dialogue for myself, um, and it was emotional for me because it's really like walking the listener through a part of my journey, of what I was going through and how hard I've been going for this. So it kind of it goes back to me. The time period puts me in is me going through getting my bachelor's degree, having two kids at home. I'm working a full-time job. I got a second job that I'm working on the weekends, and I'm going to school full time. I'm going to work on my lunch. I'm staying at my desk. I'm doing homework at my desk. You know what I'm saying? And it kind of just details that journey and how hectic it was, and how I wanted this shit more than anything. So it just put me back in that time period, and like, damn, I really went through that. So that was definitely one. And then the other that I would name would be a song called "Why Bother," that I have a feature from a lady named Sally. She did the vocals on it. I wrote the hook But I couldn't get it sounding the way I wanted to sound because that's not my forte. So I enlisted some help on there. I got somebody to put some vocals on there, and that song is about more so my upbringing and me looking back on decisions that I made and questioning them, and it's it centers around me and my brother and sister's upbringing and having a single mom and just trying to get through those times. And I talk about wanting to go to my grandma's house a lot, and my younger siblings weren't really able to go there. They usually stayed at home, and I hung out with my uncle. I'm 5 years older than my siblings, so it was a big age gap. And
Mm.
me starting to hang out with my uncle, who was about 8 years older than me, and his friends, and kind of growing up faster than I should have, and kind of looking back and regretting like maybe I should have been at home more with my siblings. You know, we didn't have our father. He chose to do something else, and me not really thinking about it at the time, but thinking about it like, you know, I'm doing these things and wanting to get out of that house because I want to forget about that. But me thinking about, you know, I was going through that, but I didn't even stop to consider, you know, what my siblings were going through. And,
Mm.
you know, I should have been there with them because they needed something too. So me kind of just thinking about situations like that and our upbringing and kind of touching on things that we're going through kind of more present day and how our upbringing shaped that and how, you know, I just kind of regret things, but I'm still letting them know I'm still there for them, and you know, kind of things like that. So that one definitely got pretty emotional thinking about things like that.
Definitely, definitely. Thank you for sharing. Now, even though the album is titled From Me to You, what would you say is the track on the album that really exemplifies your conversation to yourself? Right? I know you said earlier that it does kind of deal with that, even though you're kind of like talking to the listener. But is there a track on that album that you would say is the one where you're really, really talking to yourself
Hmm.
or most talking to yourself?
I would say that last one I just detailed, the why bother. I think that would definitely be where I'm talking to myself most. And it's just weird because it's like when I'm in my creative process, I just get in these times where it is like I'm just talking to myself. It's like I said, I don't the song topic wasn't planned. I didn't go in there and say I want to make a song about this. The beat, you know, kind of started talking to me. I said some things and then led me down one thought path, and I just kind of sat there and had a conversation with myself with the mic on. So I would definitely go with that one.
Dope, dope. So listen, man, it was such a pleasure talking to you. Before we close the interview, I just had to ask you this, as you were just talking about your juggling of, being a father and going to school and having multiple jobs. Like, how have you been able to balance all of that and still put out 3 projects last year and, just focus on your artistry? Like, where do you find the ability to still be successful at all? Because it's a challenge.
Yeah, it definitely is. I would say mainly it comes from just my passion for this. This is still to this day, even though I have a career and I do pretty well, and you know whatever the case may be, if I got an opportunity to do this, I drop it in a heartbeat. You know, like this is what I want to do. This is so. I've always found myself intrigued by people that have a passion for something, and I found myself thinking about that a lot. Like when I was in graduate school, and we would have big execs come in and talk to the class, and I would just think like, dang, they really know a lot about this subject. They really passionate about this. And whenever I would think about what that is for me, it's undoubtedly music. Like in any time music comes up, like I'm engaged. This is what I want to do. So that's for sure I would say the biggest thing. But I think that also just the times that we're going through, this pandemic has been hectic and it's been messed up for a lot of people, but it's also allowed a lot of people to do other things and given people time to step away from their normal lives and look at things differently. And it definitely gave me, with me going through the path that I did, I was able to work from home. So it gave me a lot more free time. And I was able to really think about what I wanted to do musically and what directions I wanted to go. And I sat on YouTube and watched a bunch of videos, learned how to engineer my own stuff. And now that's less of an expense that I have. I can crank out at my own pace. I don't have to. I might need to wait until I can pay for all it. I had to go when I'm ready to go.
It's such a beautiful feeling when
Yeah.
you know when you have that do-it-yourself ability. And I think this age that we're living in, the internet age, the information age, has afforded us to really, like you said, just go on YouTube and really teach yourself. You just have to have the drive, and I can see that you have the drive. So listen, man, it has been a pleasure chatting with you. I look forward to seeing, the other projects that you have coming out. But before you go, please let the people know where they can find you online, whether it's your social media pages, your Instagram, your website, so forth.
Yeah. So pretty much anything, Instagram. Uh, I'm not on social media a whole lot, but I'll be on there. So Instagram, TikTok, even my Facebook page, my SoundCloud is all really existing now. You find me on all digital streaming platforms that really existing now. But on the digital streaming platforms, it would be R.eally space N.ow space. I'm sorry, I'm messing that up. Really R.eally space existing E.xisting space N.ow. But yeah, so really existing now anywhere online pretty much, and you'll get to me.
Dope, man. Yeah, man. I put it up on the screen for the Instagram, the Facebook, and TikTok and SoundCloud. So yeah, man. Listen, I look forward again, like I said, to the new music that's coming out. So you said there's going to be another part to, this project, right? Because it's a series from me to you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, and when do we expect that to come out? The next part of the sequel.
Um, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna do another one after this. So from me to me was the first part, and from me to use the second part uh,
Okay.
of this series, and then I have the two other albums I dropped. So last 2021 I dropped From Me to Me. I dropped Chef's Kiss, and then I dropped Black Opulence. So this year I'm doing From Me to You. I'm doing the sequel to Chef's Kiss is going to be called Let Me Cook, and then I'm doing Black Opulence too.
Okay. Got it. So we can look forward to Black Opulence too this year. That's probably the word I got mixed up. I thought it was Black Excellence. It was probably Black Opulence that I saw.
Yeah.
But yeah. So listen, man, thank you so much again. Like I said, I look forward to seeing, how this album does too. Because by the time, I would say, well, this people should get a chance to see this like right before, From Me to You comes out. But while From Me to You is out, they should be able to catch this video too. So hopefully, it helps, fans that already know of you to get a deeper understanding of who you are, and for folks that don't know you to go check your stuff out, man. So much success to you. I want to thank all of our viewers, everyone that has tuned in. Thank you for checking this out and checking out this interview, which is a part of our artist interview campaign with musicbreakr. Make sure you check out the channel. Hit us up on social media as well, Out the Box Media on Instagram. The YouTube channel is Out the Box TV. Make sure you subscribe here. Also, we got our website, outtheboxmedia.com, that you can go to for new interviews as well as, new music on the website as well. We post a lot of new music frequently. And yeah, we'll catch you on the next show. Thank you again to my guest, Ren. Much success to you. Till the next video, I want to say peace, love, and light. Y'all stay healthy, stay safe, stay focused. We out of here. Peace.